The most talked about moment at Paris Fashion Week on March 10th, 2026 had nothing to do with fashion, nothing to do with runway or models or designer drama, and everything to do with two girls from Oakland finding each other in the most glamorous room on the planet. The Louis Vuitton Fall-Winter Show is the kind of event where getting an invite means you have already won. Ana de Armas was there, Lisa from Blackpink was there, the whole world was watching every corner of that room simultaneously. Zendaya walked in wearing a white dress with glowing skin and the kind of entrance that makes everyone in the room forget what they were doing. But it was not the dress that broke the internet, and it was not the hair either. It was the ring on her finger, sitting there quietly screaming because her stylist, Law Roach, had already told the world that Zendaya and Tom Holland had gotten married secretly. No announcement, no big reveal, just done. This was her first public appearance since that news dropped, which means she was standing in white at one of the world's most photographed events with what appeared to be a wedding band on her hand, stifling a laugh every time someone's eyes drifted south. The entire internet was absolutely spiraling over the ring, while something far more significant was happening on the other side of that same room, completely unnoticed by everyone who was zoomed in on her finger. A 20-year-old girl from Richmond, California, was sitting at her very first major fashion show with eyes wide and heart racing, taking in a world that 2 weeks earlier she had not yet entered from the front row. Her name is Alysa Liu, and if the name is not immediately recognizable, then the story is not. 2 weeks before Paris Fashion Week, she stood on Olympic ice in Milan and made the entire world stop breathing with a figure skating gold medal performance that did not just win a competition, but rewrote what winning looked like. What makes Alysa Liu different from every other Olympic champion who explodes into cultural visibility overnight is the specific quality of her realness. She bleaches her own hair into a wild, glowing halo, does her own piercings, and showed up to Louis Vuitton in a brown denim jacket and baggy jeans. Not because she does not care about the room she is in, but because she knows exactly who she is with the specific confidence of someone who earned that self-knowledge through a process that had nothing to do with Fashion Week invitations. The week before Paris, she posted to her Instagram story after landing at an airport where fans were waiting at the exit, cameras in her face, someone chasing her all the way to her car. And her response had no PR polish and no management spin. "Please do not do that to me." That was the entire statement, the complete message, and the fact that she delivered it without a publicist's language or a brand strategist's framing is the data point that tells you everything about who Alysa Liu actually is underneath the gold medals. Zendaya Coleman grew up in Oakland. Most people forget this completely, the biographical detail buried under the Golden Globe and the magazine covers and the cultural domination that has made her one of the most famous human beings alive. Behind all of that, there's a girl from the East Bay who went to Oakland School for the Arts, the exact same school that Alysa Liu attended, the same hallways, the same city, the same foundation. Two girls, same starting point. One became the biggest star in Hollywood across a trajectory that went from Disney to Euphoria to award season dominance. One became an Olympic gold medalist through a path that included retirement at 16 and a comeback built entirely on her own terms. On a Tuesday in Paris, those two paths collided in a room full of the most famous people alive, and the collision happened not because a publicist arranged it or a photographer prompted it, but because Zendaya spotted Alysa across the room and simply walked over. No staging, no coordination, no manufactured moment, she just went over. And the videos hit social media within minutes as the comments section turned into a specific kind of chaos that is part beautiful, part wholesome, and part the internet recognizing something it almost never gets to see. The look on Alysa's face in the first clip is the detail that every person who watched it keeps returning to. Not a celebrity smile, not a performance, but the real, unguarded expression of someone who is genuinely overwhelmed in the best possible way, grinning and talking fast and completely lit up. Zendaya leaned in during that conversation with the relaxed presence of someone who was not performing friendship for the cameras, but actually specifically interested in the person she was talking to. And then came the photo moment. Alysa throws up a peace sign, Zendaya looks at the camera, decides one peace sign is simply not sufficient for the occasion, photobombs the entire shot, pouts, throws up two peace signs, then leans all the way down and wraps Alysa in a full hug. That sequence, the photobomb, the escalation, and the full hug, is not the behavior of a celebrity being gracious to a rising star for optics purposes. It is the behavior of someone who recognized something specific in the person across from her and responded to it without calculating the response first. The internet's reaction was everything you would expect from a moment that genuine, landing in an environment where genuine moments are extraordinarily rare. Bay Area fans completely beside themselves, people who had never heard of Alysa Liu suddenly obsessed, people who thought they knew everything about Zendaya seeing her differently. Two Oakland queens, same DNA, different arenas, one room. That was the framing the internet landed on within hours, and it stuck because it's accurate in a way that the usual celebrity encounter framing never quite manages to be. The moment stopped being entertainment and started being something people actually felt the second they understood what they were actually watching, which was not a celebrity interaction, but a recognition between two people who share a specific kind of origin that the rooms they were currently occupying had been trying to erode. Alysa said something to W Magazine at the show that landed with more weight than anything else said by anyone in that room on that day. She said the Bay shaped her fashion sense and made it what it is, and she meant it without apology or qualification. She showed up to Louis Vuitton in a denim jacket and jeans and looked more confident than half the people around her in couture, not because she was making a statement about fashion, but because the Bay raised her to be unapologetically herself, with no exceptions for the room she was standing in. On the other side of that conversation was Zendaya, someone who spent years being torn apart, criticized, watched, followed, photographed without permission, someone who had to fight under extraordinary public pressure to stay connected to the version of herself that existed before all of it. She looked at Alysa Liu in that room and saw it immediately. Not a photo opportunity, not a moment to capitalize on for brand relevance, but a girl from home, someone who gets it, someone carrying the same specific weight in different sets of circumstances. Fame at that level, the kind that follows you into airports and grocery stores and quiet dinners, isolates you in ways that are almost impossible to explain to someone who has not lived it from the inside. And the isolation intensifies in rooms like the one they were both standing in. In that moment in Paris, neither of them was alone, which is the specific thing that room full of famous people had been unable to provide for them before they found each other across it.
Consider what Alysa Liu had lived through in the weeks immediately preceding Paris Fashion Week. Olympic Gold, Global Press Tour, The Tonight Show, Rolling Stone, Teen Vogue, fans outside her door, murals of her face painted on Oakland walls. A full city rally was being thrown in her honor at Frank Ogawa Plaza in Oakland, from Richmond ice rinks to the front row of Paris Fashion Week, from a teenager grinding through elite training to an Olympic champion that an entire city was celebrating in the streets. The speed of that transition, from private athletic development to global public figure, is the specific kind of experience that reshapes a person's relationship with their own identity in ways that are difficult to manage even with years of preparation and professional support. Alysa had neither the years of preparation nor the professional infrastructure that Zendaya had assembled across a career that made the transition gradually over time. She went from retired at 16 to Olympic gold medalist to Paris Fashion Week front row in a window that gave her almost no time to find her footing. The airport story, fans at the exit, cameras in her face, someone chasing her to her car, please do not do that to me, is the document of a person encountering the full weight of that transition before she has built the defenses required to carry it. Zendaya, sitting across from her in that room, was not just a celebrity moment, it was someone who had already navigated that specific terrain, reaching back to someone who was just entering it, from a starting point they shared before either of their trajectories began. The shared Oakland origin is the detail that transforms this from a celebrity encounter story into something with actual structural meaning about how identity survives contact with the machinery of global fame. Oakland School for the Arts produced both of them, a school that sits in a city with a specific cultural identity built on the kind of unapologetic self-expression that does not bend to external pressure or adjust its presentation based on the perceived expectations of the room. That specific cultural foundation is visible in both of them simultaneously in that Paris room. Zendaya's ease with the photobomb, the total absence of performance in how she approached the conversation, the genuine warmth that did not look like it was being deployed strategically. Alysa's denim jacket, her peace sign, her wide-open, unguarded expression, these are not the behaviors of someone who has learned to manage public appearances. They are the behaviors of someone whose foundation is solid enough that management has not yet replaced authenticity with calculation. The Bay did that. The specific thing that both of them are carrying into rooms that were not built for people who look like them or come from where they come from is the same thing, expressed through completely different disciplines across completely different timelines. Home recognizes home, and in 30 seconds, in the most glamorous room on the planet, two people who started from the same place found each other in the middle of circumstances that should have made finding anything real nearly impossible. The internet's response to the moment revealed something specific about what people are actually hungry for when they consume celebrity content. Not the ring speculation, not the fashion analysis, not the status hierarchy of who sat where at which show. The Bay Area response alone was enough to generate its own wave of content. People from Oakland and Richmond and the surrounding communities responding to the image of those two women in that room with an emotional investment that no amount of promotional strategy could have manufactured. The comment section turned into a specific kind of collective recognition, people identifying something in that image that connected directly to their own experience of what it means to find someone from your world in a context that was not designed with your world in mind. That is the specific cultural function those 30 seconds performed, and it is why the moment spread the way it did rather than simply cycling through the standard celebrity encounter news cycle and disappearing within 24 hours like most of what comes out of Fashion Week. The image of Zendaya wrapping Alysa in that full hug, in that room, in those clothes, with those peace signs, it is a document of something the fashion industry and the award circuit and the Olympic media machine cannot manufacture no matter what resources they deploy to try. Two Oakland girls in the middle of the world's most glamorous city choosing each other for 30 seconds in a room full of people who have never had to fight to stay themselves the way both of them have had to fight every single day since the world decided to start watching. The deeper story underneath the viral moment is about what both of them are navigating right now in real time. How you protect the version of yourself that existed before all of this, before the cameras and the crowds and the rings and the medals and the murals. Alysa Liu just wants to walk through an airport without someone chasing her to her car. That is a specific, documented, recently expressed desire from a 20-year-old who won a gold medal 2 weeks ago and is still figuring out what that means for every ordinary thing she used to do without thinking. Zendaya just wants to smile at a fashion show without the world interrogating her finger. That is the reality of what secret joy looks like when your life is the subject of continuous public interpretation that does not pause for the private human beings generating it. Both of them are carrying something that the other one understands from a position of proximity that almost no one else in that room could claim. The specific weight of being from Oakland in a world that was not expecting Oakland to show up at the center of it. The question of who your Oakland is, who the person from your world is who shows up in the middle of something massive and makes it feel like home again, is not a rhetorical device. It is the actual substance of what that 30-second hug was communicating. One conquered Hollywood, one conquered the ice. Both of them are from the same place, and in Paris on a Tuesday, they found each other in a room full of the world's most famous people, and for 30 seconds, neither of them was alone inside the magnitude of what their lives had become. The reason this moment hit differently than the standard celebrity encounter that emerges from Fashion Week every season is precisely because nothing about it was standard. Not the approach, not the body language, not the setting, not the backstory. Most celebrity moments at events like Louis Vuitton are legible as performance from the first frame. The positioning, the awareness of camera placement, the specific calibration of warmth that has been designed to read as authentic without actually requiring authenticity from either party. This was not that.
The photobomb escalation, the full hug, the wide-open expression on Alyssa's face, the way Zendaya leaned in like the conversation was the only thing happening in that room, none of it carried the visual signature of a manufactured moment. The people watching it could feel the difference, and the comment section documented that feeling in real time, which is why the moment spread the way cultural artifacts spread when they are carrying genuine emotional information, rather than promotional content dressed to look like genuine emotional information. What Alysa Liu is in the middle of right now as a 20-year-old from Richmond, California, navigating global fame with a denim jacket and a peace sign and a Rolling Stone interview about gargling water, that is a story that is only at its beginning. And the fact that Zendaya, who has been navigating a version of that same story for over a decade, walked across a room in Paris to wrap her in a hug without anyone asking her to, that is the specific kind of moment that reminds you why the starting point matters, long after everything else about the journey has changed beyond recognition.